Hi everyone and welcome to my review of Jeepers Creepers, directed by Salva from 2001. So yes, we are back once again, ready to discuss another horror film on the channel, and this time around, the original Jeepers Creepers, a film I've seen many times throughout my life and from a young age as well. And I've never discussed this film on the channel before, and we'll be discussing this today. And then eventually, you know, come January kind of thing, I'll talk about the second one as well, and look forward to that. But for now, there'll be a spoiler warning for this discussion. If you haven't seen this film, simply recommend seeing it first and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk about this from the comments, and of course, to hear your opinion on this film and to share your experiences, of course. So yes, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film, and yeah, what a film it is. For me, this has always been a very special one, and we'll start at the beginning. You know, it's a film that I saw when I was around 7 for the first time, or bits of it, and I couldn't make it through. But you know, I first kind of heard this, you know, on TV at night. I was told to go to bed. Yeah, I was around 7. I was kind of, I knew what film it was. You know, I just heard the name of the film that my parents were going to be watching, and my mum put me to bed and everything. And yeah, I heard you know, kind of just muffled noises, you know, from the film, and you know, just my mum screaming at different moments, and you know, reactions from her as well. It was quite disturbing, and you know, I wasn't asleep at that point. You know, my sleep was pretty weird. You know, as a kid, and I would be up for quite a while. So I just kind of heard, you know, strange noises, and you know, some things from the film mixed in with my mum screaming, and you know, different reactions and stuff that were really just, obviously, it was really scary, and I was quite on edge from this. And I did soon after that try to watch the film, and yeah, I kind of on TV, and was wanting to kind of see this, to see what this was all about, and to just try and, yeah, just to try and see this for the kind of fun of it. And I got to the bit where, of course, the body's being dumped down the pipe, and you know, once Darry, of course, as we know, is kind of trying to investigate, you know, trying to look down the pipe. That was it for me. I couldn't continue, and I was crying, and I had to put the film off. And yeah, a bit after that, you know, I tried to watch the film again. I got it on DVD when I was 8, and yeah, once again, I thought, you know, this is it. You know, I've bought the DVD. I'm going to try to watch the film entirely. And at that point, I got to the kind of highway chase with the police. You know, the creeper, of course, the iconic moment, and that's it again. I had to put it off. It was too scary. And yeah, a bit after that, you know, definitely I was 9 at this point, no later, and you know, I did finally see your film all the way through. I mustered up the courage, and you know, kind of put the DVD back in, you know, because it was kind of a sad thing. I bought the DVD, you know, and I couldn't continue the film for a while. You know, I couldn't actually watch it all, you know, throughout, yeah, the entire film, obviously. And yeah, it was a shame. So I thought, you know, have to just go through with it now, even though I'm scared of this film. Finally watched it when I was 9, and yeah, just yeah, it became one of my kind of favourite horror films, you know, of modern times. And you know, I think yeah, this film for me is a great one. You know, it's just genuinely scary, and I think that's definitely the case. You know, there's a lot of films that I was scared of as a kid, but this is one of the ones that I was just generally terrified of, and you know, just the design of the creeper, but also the way the film is built up, and just the kind of subtlety, the restraints of this film, and the implications, you know, of different things that are happening, and just the sense of dread, and the atmosphere that is built up, and yeah, the use of tension in this film is something else. And I think it's one of the most unique films, horror films of you know, of the century, really. And you know, I think it generally is one of the scariest, you know, of this time. And yeah, we have, of course, you know, just Trish and Darry kind of driving home for spring break, you know, from college, of course, and 2 siblings. And we have, of course, Justin Long in this film playing Darry, and of course, Gina Phillips playing Trish. And yeah, these siblings who kind of straight away we get this kind of realistic, you know, I think authentic relationship they have, and you know, they're just acting you know, silly and all this kind of stuff, but they have this kind of relationship, and it's so well done. And the writing, the acting to the film, and just, I think, the way we just have general kind of games they're playing, and conversations, really organic in the car. And I love, of course, as well, you know, the titles kind of just blends into the film, fades in, and just the music there that is used, very subtle. And we have, of course, the car, and you know, the conversations we slightly hear, you know, muffled noises from them in the car, and then going down the hill, it's kind of silent, and come back up again. The conversation continues, and you know, I love this moment, and just the way the sound design is in this film throughout. Yeah, it's just so well done, and you know, just love the opening to the film, introduction to the characters. Soon after that, though, we're kind of easing into the film with a kind of natural, peaceful conversations. It's not, you know, peaceful for long, because 5 minutes in or so to the film, and we have the truck driving down the road behind them, of course, and just seeing on the horizon, the background again, very subtle, very almost a speck. You see the truck behind them, and it's just very slowly kind of approaching them from behind. Just the framing there and the kind of choice to linger on that shot is so well done, and really a masterful moment of horror for me. And just the tension, the way it builds, mounts there while the truck kind of approaches, and we have the characters just continuing talking there. They don't notice this at all, and then when the truck, of course, gets really close, we have that horn that just, wow, the sound of this horn is so scary, and it just kind of gets under the skin. As we know, we don't really see the creeper up close until halfway through the film, really, and even at this point, we just see blacked out windows. We don't know anything about this character who's kind of pursuing them, and it's just so scary, and I think it's a great choice to kind of wait until, kind of halfway through the film, really, to kind of show in full, the creeper's face, and this is just a genius choice, and I think just the way in which Darry, of course, and Trish they kind of escape this, initially this kind of chase here, and kind of go off, and just the reactions there, of course, Justin Long in this film is just so great, and of course Gina Phillips as well. I think the dynamic here is just so great. Individually, great performances, of course, and I think Trish is a different character to Darry, so she does react in different ways, and I think just the way this is written and the performances here, I think it really captures something quite unique, and just these two characters together, and how they kind of interact, and Trish is not as scared, obviously, as Darry throughout the film. She's someone who's a bit more, I wouldn't say stronger, but she reacts in different ways. Darry, of course, is initially more, generally more frightened, and he does as well kind of go down the pipe, as well. So he does see, all the bodies, the House of Pain, of course, that we learn about in the film, and so he's obviously got more reason to be kind of disturbed by this whole, kind of scenario, but he is initially as well more, frightened, deep down, and that's interesting, of course, because it does play into the narrative, as we know later in the film. The creeper kind of tries to, he feeds on, the fear of his victims, so kind of, Darry being more scared, that's the reason why he was taken in the end, and he was used, for the two of them as the victim. It's just so disturbing, the idea of this being that the creeper does kind of feed on its victim's fear, and he chooses Darry in the end. It's not just a case of he wants certain parts, the victims. It's kind of, the creeper kind of wants to kind of relish in that fear as well, and that's just so horrible. And smelling different characters in the film as well, and it's just what a disturbing film. This idea here, the concept, and of course, when the creeper is actually revealed, Jonathan Breck, of course, playing the creeper in this film, masterfully, really. This is just a great performance, and I think when it's kind of first revealed, the creeper, I think it's just generally it's not something that kind of doesn't live up to the kind of build up here. We see different moments, long shots, and at moments in the film we kind of can make out something, of the creeper's face, and the hair and all this. But when it's shown up close, it's not something that disappoints at all. This is just generally one of the greatest, for me, kind of monster designs, creature designs in cinema. The makeup, the costume, the kind of the way in which Jonathan Breck kind of carries, the creeper. It's quite animalistic, of course, and it's just everything that combines, in this film, and the way in which it's kind of edited, around the creeper. I think it makes for one of the greatest kind of monsters, in cinema history, and I think just the way in which we have, the cape, and as well. A bit after that, it's kind of hinted at before, the diner sequence, we're seeing the wings as well of the creeper, and it's just the way in which the character, the creeper is kind of built up throughout the film, and we have the subtle moments of first, the terror, seeing the House of Pain, the kind of sculptures as well, kind of showing the creeper, and again teasing the kind of wingspan, of course there. And then, when the creeper is kind of revealed gradually throughout the film, and, I just think the way this is done, the way it kind of progresses and it mounts all towards the final act, it's just absolutely stunning. And, I think the final act itself, is probably, definitely the weakest part of the film. I think really the last 15-20 minutes, really once the creeper gets into the station, with them, after that, it does go downhill a bit, and it's not, as good as the rest of the film, really, other than the ending itself. But, of course, Giselle, Patricia Belcher, playing Giselle, and she kind of gives this narration, while the creeper, of course, is kind of stumbling into the police station there, or around it, and, we have the leg, and of course, the rest of the body that's all kind of mutilated after Trish and Darry have kind of run down the creeper, and it's still kind of going there. It's still going strong, and kind of just it won't stop. And the relation from Giselle there is just so well done, and I think the editing throughout this film, in general, is just absolutely stunning. And I think going back to the kind of first act, though, we have a kind of gradual, kind of subtle moments, build up of the creeper, and kind of seeing, of course, after that chase, the initial one, they're kind of shaken up, and they're giving kind of a talk here about something that happened 23 years ago from their kind of college, and this couple, of course, that went missing, and the head was taken from Darla, and we have just that kind of really scary story there, and soon after that, that's kind of confirmed when Darry kind of goes into the House of Pain and sees these bodies. Of course, they've been kind of preserved, kind of stitched up, and it's just so gross. But the initial moment when, of course, Darry, Trish arrive at the church, that masterful shot there, kind of just lingering on the church, and a genius way in which this is done, because it's not night time, it's not traditionally kind of a scary location in a sense around this church. It's a very just a warm, kind of peaceful setting. In general, this first act and the locations of this film, I absolutely love. But this church, something about the way it's kind of hidden, almost, amongst the trees, and it's kind of a bit dingy. The lighting there, because the trees are kind of blocking out the sunlight, and we see this kind of run-down church, and then the pipe. The way in which this is revealed, it genuinely does get into the mind here, and it's so disturbing. Kind of an idea is planted, and we're kind of wondering as a viewer what would be down there, and it's up to your imagination at first, and masterfully kind of built up, and then of course very slowly they decide to kind of go down this. Of course, Darry, he wants to kind of go down this and see, because we do kind of see bodies being dumped down this, and at least another chase, of course, and the ramming of the car there. But when they actually decide to go down the pipe, and Darry kind of kind of climbs into this, and Trish, of course, holds his feet there, and with the rats and all this, and when he falls down the pipe, and just that kind of slow-mo there when he's falling back, that is just a great moment. And then, of course, the darkness around him, definitely I could always see why I couldn't continue this film as a kid, because it's just so scary, so disturbing, and visually, the editing, the sound design, and just I think especially Justin Long, he really is a character. Darry, who is so genuinely frightened of this, it makes it more of a scary experience. His acting in this film, Justin Long, is just so great, and Justin Long, is a great actor for me. He's always he's had some classic roles, of course, over the years, but I always want to see him basically in more films, and it can never be enough. Justin Long, and I think this film is his best performance, and that I've seen. I just think in this film, the way in which he reacts to this House of Pain, we kind of see this masterfully revealed, really, and the visuals to this, and just seeing the way in which he's kind of looking around and discovering more, to this, and just the sense of shock on his face, and seeing the character as well that's kind of in that bag there, no kind of voice, of course. That character there cannot speak, and every time I see this, it's just so horrible. He's kind of, his organs, of course, have been removed, and he's just trying to say something to warn Darry, of course, in that moment. Initially, Darry is quite scared of this, and he doesn't thinks it could be something that he shouldn't really be opening, but then he soon realises it's a victim here, and he opens the bag, of course, and tries to kind of help. And that's the moment that kind of changes the film, because no longer is this just simply a mystery thriller, horror, where this shady character is dumping something down this pipe, and it appears to be blooded kind of bags of bodies. It really confirms something that we kind of feared, but also it goes one step further, and the removal of the kind of organs there, and the stitching, and all this mass kind of grave, really, of all these characters of display, though, that over the years the creeper is kind of it's collected, it's used for their organs, of course. Just seeing the way they're all displayed over the ceilings and the walls, and kind of embalmed, preserved here, it's something that, even though it's kind of built up and there's an idea in our mind first time round, it kind of lives up, and it surpasses what we could have imagined, really, at least for me, in this scenario here, and it just goes one step further, and it's just it's so horrible. And then, of course, eventually Derry does kind of get out of this house of pain, and he goes up, and of course, the interactions there between him and Trish, and Derry is never the same really throughout the rest of the film. He's really kind of on edge throughout this, and he's after what he's seen, it's kind of changed him, and he kind of he fears everything so much, and Trish has never seen this, so she's a bit more kind of course she's scared, but she's a bit more kind of kind of level-headed throughout the film. That's just her character as well. She's not someone who's kind of as disturbed or as affected by what happens throughout the film, and I think that's really interesting because it does obviously as well play into that whole kind of way in which Derry is the final victim of the film. But then they both of course drive on, and kind of it turns to night time soon after that, and we have kind of the evening setting in, and they of course reach this diner, and we have these characters kind of a classic kind of trope in cinema, different characters kind of shocked that someone else would kind of go into the diner, and these characters of course, and they're kind of wanting the police, and there's the shock of the police kind of thing. Nothing like that ever happens around here. We don't need the police, and then of course a great moment when the police do arrive, and I love the cops in this film, just the way especially the male cop, he kind of there's something in him, he does, even though he doesn't necessarily believe Derry entirely, he thinks it could be blown out of proportion. There's something about him that he does suspect something, and I think it's the moment when, of course, we have different characters looking out the window. It's a great moment. We have them kind of seeing someone sniffing, of course, at the clothing, the car, and they're kind of shocked and disturbed and grossed out by this, and that's a great moment because it kind of confirms, there and then, other characters have seen this, so Derry isn't making this up, and someone is after these characters, and the police are kind of a bit more convinced there, especially the male cop there, and kind of when it leads to them following, of course, Derry and Trish to kind of what we believe to be, the kind of back to the church, so they can show them, the evidence of this. We have on the radio at one point, kind of saying that the church has been burnt down, and of course, on the radio there saying, the kind of shock of that, and then the creeper emerges, and at night time here, and in this moment here, this kind of highway chase sequence here, if you will, and the kind of the creeper getting on the roof of the cop car. This is just unbelievable cinema, and I think when I first saw this, I finally got to this part, I had to turn it off, and it would be a while, before I could actually make it through this one, because even though it's epic, explosive, of course, we've got, different characters all together, and the creeper is kind of shown more, it's just so scary, because I think the moment when the song plays on the radio, and the song that's been kind of, hinted at, Giselle on the phone saying, if you hear, this song of any kind, run, of course, because it's all going to kind of kick off that kind of thing, and Derry, the moment when he kind of realises, and he turns the radio back, and tunes back to the channel there, and he says, "That's the song, that's the song," and the kind of the shock on his face, and just that moment there where the song kicks in, and the creeper kind of the shot once again, a similar shot from earlier on when we had the kind of truck behind them, and just out of focus a bit there. The creeper, though, you can see is on the roof of the cop car behind them, and it's just they can't escape, and of course the moment when the combination of the song, the creeper emerging, the sound design here, and just a subtle moment there where we see the cape, of course, kind of moving in the wind there, and he's on the cop car, and the cops react, the police react to this, and the sky is falling, and just the woman there kind of easing out for some reason of the car, just kind of quite calmly there, and she gets onto the roof, and of course the creeper drags her up, and she screams, and then before we know it, kind of putting the hand through the roof, and grabbing, of course, the cop's head there, and the panic on his face there. He's generally now he is frightened of this moment. That's it. Before really anything could be discussed. About him discovering the creeper, and kind of realizing this is all true. He is killed, and his head is chopped off, and it bounces, as we know, onto the car, of Trish and Derry, and they swerve, of course, and it leads to such a gross moment. We have, of course, the car, then approaching the car, and kind of going back in, and because they see the creeper, and then, of course, we have the head being seen, and they get back into the car, and the creeper next to that sign there, a bit of comedy starts to be introduced more here. You could say, in these scenes, and they're kind of ripping out the tongue, kind of with his mouth, his mouth, and next to the sign there, and it's just it's comedic, but it is one of the grossest scenes really. But this is when we start to learn a bit more about this creeper, and a bit more comedy there, and kind of the whistling of the creeper. So we're gradually learning more and more about this kind of monster here, and that it can kind of interact in a way. It can kind of kind of joke. It can kind of whistle and all this, and just the kind of self-aware nature of this, chucking the head in the kind of truck after it's kind of shut the doors there, and realising it's got open it again and chuck the head in there. Just such a great moment there, and it does lead to the final act. So we have just before that though, the cat lady and all this, and that's great, and that's when we first see the creeper, fully in the flesh there, and we see the eyes, the mouth, and everything like this, and it's so scary, and one of the scariest monster designs really in cinema, and the reactions there, just them getting back in the car, running over the creeper, kind of mangling the creeper, and just the wings being shown here fully finally, and it's just, as I say, the way that it's gradually done throughout the film, it's just genius at times, and then it does lead to the final act of the film where they get to the police station, and I think I loved it until really, as I say, the creeper comes into the station. What it does for me here is kind of loses the sense of dread a bit, even though the creeper is kind of crawling on the walls and all this, and it is really scary. We've got Giselle there, kind of with them, which is really cool and epic. A character we've just been hearing on the phone until this kind of moment, and kind of finally there. The characters aren't really treating her, that well, and they're kind of really pushing her away to the point where it's a bit unbelievable how, even though she's got so much information on them, the cats before it happened, and all this kind of stuff, and she describes the tattoo of Darry. They don't believe her really at all. They just kind of think that she's completely nuts in that sense, and I think it's a bit too late when she finally does. Maybe that's the whole point, but for me it was just a bit of a choice that didn't really work fully for me. I would have preferred it, if it had just been them, naturally believing her in that moment, because after all the stuff that's happened, and unfortunately it doesn't happen, and she does join them though, so it's really cool how we have this kind of team up, and I think that's really cool, and the kind of initial the station, the way it kind of goes into lockdown, that's quite cool as well. But then when the creeper is kind of crawling on the walls and all this, and they're all shooting, loads of police kind of shooting up at the ceiling and the kind of stairway there, it kind of turns into an action film here a bit more, and I think it does lose that sense of horror, in that final 15 minutes or so, and I think it could have been done a bit better here, and I think some of the reactions from the general cops, and obviously Jonathan Breck as well. We do have a little cameo there, with one of the cops there, which is cool. But most of the cops are just kind of reacting, in a kind of, blasé way, and they're not really. The main cop as well there, is not really reacting in a believable way. For all the unbelievable stuff there, and just down below as well, where we do have a great moment where kind of showing all the cellmates there, kind of going through, the prisoners, and they're all kind of casual and normal there, and then we've got the ones. They're kind of the characters there are kind of really shocked about something they're seeing in the next cell. So it's a gradual kind of moving through, and things are more kind of disturbing as we go through there. And the creeper is eating limbs, and it's a gross moment. We don't fully see it. We hear this gross sound, the swallowing and all this. And I think the cop's reaction there, that one there who discovers that the creeper, that wasn't great there, and it kind of takes away from it. But seeing the creeper there and hearing all that, and then the limbs getting kind of ripped off there, that's just so gross. And I think the effects of this, the practical effects, it really is something else. The makeup throughout the film, and just the overall the gore of this, very subtle at times, other times really full on gore, and mostly used in just the right moments here. But I think when the creeper goes up and is kind of going around the rooms, and we have the mirror moment as well. It does lead, of course, to Darry being taken. Finally, the victim of the two is chosen. In this moment where the cops are all pointing the guns at the creeper, and it takes Darry, flies out, and Trish. That great moment though when we have Trish kind of looking out, and we see the moon, and the way that the creeper flies off with Darry screaming. It's a great moment there. What do I think on the ending itself? I think this is a pretty great ending, and interestingly, we have, of course, Darry being taken to the new lair and all this of the creeper. This kind of different location, and we assume that this is where the creeper is going to be for a while, just simply moving location. Once again, going about his business kind of thing. We hear the song as well. Here comes the boogeyman, and well, the creeper is kind of attending to different things, and then we have Darry. We learn that the eyes are gone, and the creeper has kind of taken his eyes, and that is actually Justin Long's eyes. In that final shot there, and it is actually Justin Long playing the creeper in this moment. Interestingly, but the ending is just really disturbing. It's not too much. We don't see, of course, luckily for me, the actual, the whole process of this, what happens to Darry. But we do hear on most releases, interestingly, the screams, of Darry, just like it was predicted by Giselle, and that's something that, because this has all come true, it's just even more scary. But we hear the screams of Darry, and then it does cut to that, and that's the ending, and the great use of music in the credits here. But interestingly, the UK DVD did not contain the actual screams of Darry, and this is the way mostly that I did see, it is the way I saw this film, and this part especially, the ending until 2021, where I finally got the US, of course, Blu-ray behind me, and I'm not sure entirely if the US or the the UK Blu-ray has this kind of screams put back into it, but the UK DVD to achieve the 15 rating did not have the screams in the final moments. So that's really interesting because it's something that I was thinking when I got on Blu-ray. I was thinking, wow, this is really strange. I've never heard that before. It's more disturbing than previous watches, but it just wasn't on the UK DVD release. It was completely removed, the screams. So that is really fascinating because it is quite pivotal, part of the ending, and in its full form. Now that I've seen it the last few years, I think it is really generally even more scary than I first thought, and I think just hearing the screams and then it's just all kind of implied, and then we see the aftermath of this, and then Justin Long, his kind of eyes in the creeper there. It's just, wow, so disturbing, but it has got a bit of comedy there with the music. It does kind of lighten it a little bit. It's not too much, but it is still one of the most disturbing films, horror films that I've seen personally, and I think just, as I say, the creeper itself, the design of this, the concept, Jonathan Breck playing the creeper masterfully in this film, these characters that I love and just really cared about throughout the film, and when things did happen to the characters, it's all the more kind of affecting, and the visuals to this, for the most part, is absolutely stunning. The editing, the music, of course, the sound design, the truck, everything about the truck and the creeper, it's just so well done. And the backstory as we go throughout the film, finally learning, it's this kind of demon-like creature really that comes every 23rd spring and it eats for 23 days. Kind of goes back and all this. We assume we learn more about this throughout the franchise, but really this is enough. This one where we learn enough backstory, but it's not too much. There's a sense of wonder still there to it, and mystery and all this. But the exposition in the film about the creeper, it's just so well done, and it's written so well. And I think Giselle, especially when she is more the one that gives the exposition, the backstory to the characters, she plays it so well. It seems like she generally believes this whole kind of story here, and just some great performances in this film throughout. And of course, Justin Long and of course Gina Phillips in this film especially are just so great together and individually. So well written, the characters, and so kind of well fleshed out from the performances. And I think they've both done so well in this film. And Justin Long, it's just. He's so, generally frightened in this film, it seems, and he's just a great character, and very, very tragic film, very sad, but it's kind of that's just what the film is, and it starts off very peaceful, and then it never lets up after the first kind of 5 minutes or so. And it builds and builds, loses a bit, definitely a bit in the final act, some of it with the action and all this. Just not quite as investing there, but once we got through that and we get the ending, it picks up again. And so overall, my rating for this film is a 91%. So yeah, extremely high score from me. I do absolutely love this film. I think despite the final act not being, around 15 minutes of the final act or 20 minutes of the film not being as good as the rest, I think because this film could have been an even higher score if it had been up to that standard. But despite all that, it's definitely a great film still, and I think it just kind of loses a sense of the horror and the kind of atmosphere here and the subtlety, I think, in that final act with all the cops and everything shooting, and the kind of, it's a bit too action heavy for me, and for this film that is, and I think just some of the bits with the final confrontation with the creeper there, with Trish and Darry. But other than that, I think this film is I think at times this film has sequences, moments, aspects of the film that are quite masterful actually in terms of horror, and I think it's just the effects, the costume, of course, the makeup and everything around the creeper. It's just generally one of the best in cinema, and I think the creeper is even more for me scary in the second film, and we'll get to that kind of January time, but for now, this film truly is one of my favourite kind of modern horror films, and it's on my list of favourites really of all time. I just love the creeper, the backstory to this. I love the characters in this film, Trish and Darry, great characters. I love the chemistry, the charm, the comedy, the warmth to them. The kind of the dynamic, of course, and which when they're talking about home and all this kind of stuff as well. It's just so natural the way it's done, and the editing, the visuals, just the narrative, the progression to this, the momentum, and the kind of impending sense of terror really in this film, and just to the final moments there where it all kind of came true, and it comes to the credits with Here Comes the Boogeyman playing. So it's got tongue-in-cheek aspects to this film, but it really is one of the scariest horror films really ever made. So yes, I love this film. It's got epic moments. It's just I love the lore, and so invested in this. And as a kid, I did also see the second film. So I'll be talking about that as well. Some nostalgic memories of this as well. But the first one, is really special to me, and I just love this for the creature, for the characters, and the overall experience of a horror kind of ride here. I think it's just one of the most unique and kind of creative and just investing modern horror films. So yes, that's my thoughts. What do you think? It'd be really great to hear, in the comments, your thoughts on this film. What's your experience with this? And how have you seen this over the years? Have you seen it multiple times and all this kind of stuff? And what is your general thoughts on this film? It'd be great to hear in the comments, of course, your thoughts on this film and all things horror and all things cinema, of course. So yes, as always, take care and thanks for watching.